Now, today on the Small and Supercharged podcast, I've got an absolute treat for you. We're speaking to Carrie Green, who I am sure needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. So Carrie is the lady behind the Female Entrepreneur Association, and we're going to get the chance to quiz her all about how she built such an amazing community, her business, her book, which you know I'm a massive fan of, and lots more too. So hello, Carrie.
Hi, so excited to be here.
That's just made my year. So can you tell us a little bit about the Female Entrepreneur Association as it is now and how you built it?
So as it is now, it's a global platform I feel like I'm just reading this off a mission statement, but it is literally, my mission has always been to inspire and empower women to turn their ideas into a successful business. So yeah, it's a global platform, which is just incredible, really thanks to the internet and social media. And we have a membership site, and we collaborate with lots of amazing experts to provide trainings and just lots of support for women to help them to grow their businesses. So that's kind of what it is right now.
But it's grown and developed quite massively, hasn't it, since the idea sparked in your brain?
Yeah, I mean, obviously back in 2011, even actually in 2008, it was an idea that I had because I felt so isolated building my own business, and I didn't have a clue what it was when it began.
Because you actually started doing phone unlocking, didn't you? That was your first business.
Yeah, so I began in 2005. I was at university and I completely ran out of money. And so I needed to figure out what I was going to do. And this opportunity came up to be a reseller, to sell mobile phone unlock codes online. And I was like, I have no idea about phones, let alone this. But I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try. And quickly realized how incredible the internet is, and how when you have a really great service and you have a clear audience, you can really leverage tools on the internet. For example, back then I was using Google AdWords as a way to be able to get in front of those people who needed the service I was providing. And it just kind of blew my mind what was possible. I was like literally working from a bedroom in a student house in Birmingham, studying law and going, so studying law, being able to, hanging out with my friends and going out and building a business on the side. And it was just amazing to me what you could literally make happen just from a laptop. So yeah, it was incredible. And that's where the whole entrepreneurial journey began.
And then from that, you obviously built the Female Entrepreneur Association, but you went through lots of different stages to get to where you are now, didn't you? I know in your book you talk about how you became an affiliate for different things. Yeah. And also, the amazing online magazine you did, and lots of different steps that sort of led you to the path of the membership site now. Yeah,
it's definitely gone through lots of different phases. So when I first started out, I just wanted to, I needed to figure out, how am I going to take this mission that I have and actually get it out there? Because I knew I wanted to create a platform to bring women together, but I had no experience doing that. Like, my first business was selling mobile phone unlock codes, so it was completely different to creating a community of people. And so I was kind of back at square one again, trying to figure out, how am I going to do this? Like, I've got this mission, but how am I going to get it out there in a powerful way? So when it first started, the idea that I had was, well, I am really interested to connect with other women who are doing similar things, who are building businesses, and who want to talk about it and talk about the reality of building a business, and the challenges that they've experienced, and also the wins that they've had, so that it will inspire other people to realize what's possible and also what the journey's really like. And so I started networking like offline, like a crazy person. I was going to so many networking events, and I also at the time started to network a lot on LinkedIn. And I would just ask people, women who I came across who had like a story to share, can I share your story? Can I publish it? And people were like, yes, oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. And so it began with me. It was a series I called How She Did It. And I just began publishing stories of women from literally all over the world who had turned an idea into a business. And that's where it began. And that enabled me to start building momentum and getting a feel for the fact that there were other women out there who were in a similar situation to what I was in, who really did want to talk about their experiences and who did want to champion other women and wanted to come together. So it was kind of a bit of a like reassurance that I'm onto something here. Like this, there is definitely a need for it. And so I did the stories for a while, and I tinkered around with other things. Like in 2011, I did my first ever event, which was incredible. And we had like, I think 50 or 60 people, women came to that event, and we had people with stands. And again, it was just a little experiment to see, like, do people want this? Do people really, am I doing this the right way? And then in 2012 is when I thought, okay, well, I'm doing the stories, and I'm publishing a story, I think once a week. And now how am I going to grow? How am I going to take things to another level? And I realized that when you look at an organization, often you look at the people or the other companies it's associated with, and it can help elevate it. So I thought, if I want to get this out there in a bigger way, I have to work with other people who are way more successful than what this is, and who are way further ahead. So that they can help pull me up to their level. And so I thought about doing the magazine, and I thought it'd be just a really fun way to create content, and it wasn't anything out there. So I mean, I love personal development and business development, but there wasn't a magazine that was interesting to me, that really resonated with me. There were entrepreneurial magazines, but they were so masculine that I didn't get excited about reading them. And so I got really excited to create that, but then also realized it could be a great strategy for raising the profile of FEA. And so I was able to reach out, and like, I remember making a wish list of people who I really wanted to interview, and thinking, how am I going to make this happen? But I just kind of persevered with it. And you know the same thing, like if you reach out to someone, chances are that they might say yes. And I remember the first
like this podcast.
So because I remember the first person I reached out to was Kim Kiyosaki, who'd written a book called Rich Woman, and her husband Robert Kiyosaki had written all the Rich Dad Poor Dad books, and I'd read all of them growing up, and I really loved everything that she was doing. But she was like this, to me, a huge author and really successful. And when I reached out to say, can I interview you, the magazine didn't even exist. And I was like, she's really going to say no. And when they came back saying, yeah, of course, I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. And so I did this interview with Kim Kiyosaki, and then that first issue of the magazine went live. And then, you know, I started reaching out to people. There was another book that I always talk about called The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And he sold like over 1 million copies of that book. It had such a huge impact on me when I was building my first business. And I really looked up to him, and I really wanted to interview him. And so again, I was doing all I could to get in touch with him. I remember reaching out on his website and not hearing back. And I can't remember now, it was so long ago, but I think I even called up and didn't hear back. And then a few months had gone by, and I was like, I really want to get him on the cover of the magazine and interview him as the main feature. And I remember this one day I went on Facebook, and there was a quote that I'd created for the FEA fan page. And there on Facebook was my quote, and Michael Gerber had shared it on his fan page. And I was like, wait a sec, like, this is crazy. Like, Michael Gerber, I have just come on Facebook and just happened at this precise moment to see that he's shared one of my quotes. And so I left a comment saying, oh, I created this quote. I'm so glad, something like, I'm so glad that you liked it. Maybe I could interview you now. And someone on his team replied saying, I can't remember, saying like, share your email address and we'll get something sorted. And then like a week later, I was on the phone to Michael Gerber interviewing him. So I'm just like, I think when you put something out there and you really want to make it happen, sometimes I think the universe has a weird and wonderful way of bringing those things to life. So doing the magazine was incredible, because it really helped me to align FEA with people like Michael Gerber and Kim Kiyosaki and Jessica Heron, who's the founder of Stella and Dot. I mean, hugely successful people. And, you know, I did, you know, Jacqueline Gold and Michelle Moan and so many amazing entrepreneurs. And that was an incredible experience to do that. And then from there, it was always on to the next thing. So I'd be like, well, what can I do now that will create even more exposure? So I started doing the weekly videos, because then people could get to know me and see me and hear me. And I thought that would be really powerful. And then what was it? And then I started speaking on stages. And then I did the TEDx talk, which has been incredible because that's had millions of views. And then, just do some little things on the journey. But it's funny because when you start out, you don't really know how it's all going to unfold. You might have a really clear mission and a vision for what you want to create. And for me, it was to create a platform that was literally the best platform and the largest platform to help inspire women in business. But I didn't know I didn't know the route that I was going to end up taking to get me to that point. So it's been amazing, all these different things. And there's definitely been some challenges along the way, but it's fun how it all works out. I think that's why the quote that says, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20 is so important, because it's easy to look at someone who's, really starting to build momentum and create success and think, I need to be there already, because we all have to go through those phases of trying to figure it all out, and it's not working. You try one thing and it doesn't work out, and you think, am I even going to be able to make this happen? So I think it's important to realize that is the case for everyone.
No, completely. And I think as well, what comes across from obviously following you on social and reading your book is that obviously when you try these new things, there's a reason behind it, and it's you've thought it through. But a lot of it is just having the balls, for want of a better expression, to go, okay, this should work. Let's try it. Not overanalyze, not talk yourself out of it, but believe in it and try.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's fine to I overthink things. Like when I was creating the magazine, I remember being sat in the cafe, about to hit publish. And I'm literally 10 minutes prior to that, I was in this like entrepreneurial working cafe in London. Actually, it was a Google campus. And someone there wanted me to be introduced to this woman that was starting a business, and she'd come from the financial sector in London. And she came over, and just before the magazine was about to go live, I showed her the magazine, and she was like, wow, this is so patronizing. And I was like, what? I'm just about to go live with this. I couldn't believe it. So, and I thought, I've got enough negative demons in my own head to deal with, let alone dealing with yours. And I remember hitting like send to my audience on the email, after just like not long after that conversation, and being so terrified and thinking, what are people going to think of this? Will they like it? But I think everyone still has those doubts and worries and, moments of feeling like it's not going to work. But I think it's just persevering no matter what. Like I had a quote on my wall when I started out, and it's a quote that I still heavily rely on, that says, successful people hang on when everyone else has let go. And the number of times that quote has literally pulled me through a situation, because I've just thought to myself, no, like the only way to be successful is to hang on. Because if you think about it, most people give up because it's too hard, because there's too much uncertainty, because it's not working out. And it's really hard to deal with that. But every successful person has had to deal with that, but they just made the decision to keep hanging on. And I think that is such a huge part of the difference between those that make it and those that don't. But it's so simple, because every single one of us has the ability to just hang on. So that really helped push me through in the tough times.
No, definitely. And can we talk a bit about your community? Because you've got a really, really sizable following, well, everywhere, but particularly Facebook. You are very, very big on Facebook. So how have you built that community? What things like the magazine and these alignments, has that really helped you?
I feel like doing things that don't exist. So when I did the magazine, nothing like it that I knew of. And I think most people, it didn't exist. There wasn't anything like it at the time. So it was new and it was fun. And I tried to go above and beyond to create something that was amazing. And I think for me, it's the fun of building a business is like, building a business is all about serving people. It's about adding value. And I think that, I get so excited about thinking, how can I go above and beyond to create something that's absolutely amazing, that's going to wow someone? And so I think doing that has helped me to build a community, because I'm creating something that people absolutely get behind. They fall in love with it and they're like, this is so amazing. And then they go and tell people about it. You know, I love it when I come across a brand myself that does such a good job that I literally want to go and rave about it to my friends and family, because it just excites me. It excites me to think that someone else has thought through that journey and that process to the extent that it's had that impact on me.
Isn't there an example of that with Jessica Alba's clean? Is it the Honest?
Oh yeah, the Honest Company.
So, yeah, I was thinking it was cleaning products, and it wasn't. Had a bit of a mind blank.
Yeah, exactly. So, so Jessica Alba has the Honest Company, which is just a natural, non-toxic cleaning products, and they just did such a good job at like making them look beautiful and really thinking about who is buying this product and what does that person actually want. And it's like, you want a beautiful home, but when you're using your products, that you want them to, you want to feel good using them. And so they looked at making them beautiful and obviously thinking about things that were important to a lot of people. So not having a load of like terrible toxic chemicals inside the products and all that kind of stuff. And it's the same. I think I had another example in the book of Jo Malone, who, when she created her store Jo Loves in London, she sells candles and bath soaps and all that kind of stuff. But it's so much more than that. When you go in there, it's an actual experience. And I remember hearing her talk once, and she talked about fragrances as stories. So to her, it wasn't just a fragrance. The fragrance represented a story in her mind of something that had happened. So an experience. And I'm like, this is thinking next level. You're not thinking, I want to create a candle. It's like, well, what do I want that candle to create in someone's home? Like, what's the experience I want that to evoke for someone? And I think that is so powerful. And I think that's got a big part to do with how people can build really big, successful community and engaged communities, is by going above and beyond to think like that, to think, what could I put out there? What can I share that will have that impact on somebody? Because I think too often it's easy to just spew content out or to put up a quote because you want the like, you want the followers, rather than thinking, what can I do that's just going to make an impact? What am I going to do that's just going to wow people? And I think when you come at growing an audience from that perspective, rather than a selfish, I want followers, you begin to get followers. And I think the same, it's true for making money. Like, I think the moment you take your focus off, like, for example, I want to make $1 million, and shift it to, how can I just serve people and create the most incredible, wildly amazing experience to people and deliver incredible service? That's the point at which it shifts. And then you are able to just exceed your expectations of what you want to make from a monetary point of view, because money is an exchange of value. And so I think it'll get you there a lot faster than thinking about what's in it for yourself.
No, there's a quote, isn't there, about follow your passion, the money will come. It's a bit like that, but sort of almost to the next level as well.
Yeah, follow your passion, and then figure out, like, just get excited about adding value and serving people. Like, even basic things. I think when you start thinking about this and integrating it into your life and integrating it as like a core value, even things like when you go to a hotel. I remember my dad saying this to me once. He said, I never leave a hotel room in a worse condition than when I found it. And I was like, well, what do you mean? And he was like, I will tidy the room and make sure the bed's made and make it so it was as nice or as nice or nicer than when I arrived. And I was like, but why? And it's just like a mindset he kept of like wanting to make sure that he didn't just like leave things in a mess. And I thought that is such a really smart mindset to keep in just day-to-day life, to think when you go into a room or when you go to meet somebody, what can you do to make sure that you are their best meeting of the day? You are their best encounter of the day. And it's not to say I do this all the time, but when I meet people, I really try to make sure that comes across. Or when I'm doing things, it's like, for example, even the products that we have, it's just like, what can we do to go above and beyond so that when something arrives through someone's letterbox, it's like, wow, from the moment it arrives through the letterbox, or even before that, like, what's the experience they have even throughout the whole journey with us. So thinking about that and how to integrate it into your life in a personal way and also in a business way helps, because then it just becomes part of your ethos. It just becomes part of how you do things, and it's just, transforms everything.
I think actually that not explains, but your beautiful planner, the packaging is a thing of beauty. I mean, the actual planner is gorgeous, but the packaging is obviously really, really well thought through, and that really is delivering an extra level as well.
Yeah, and I think that's fun. Like when you've got something, whether it's a product or a service, to think like, how can you go above and beyond to create something that is just going to make people so happy, or is going to have such a huge impact on them. For me, that is like one of the most enjoyable parts of building a business, is seeing that impact actually happen. Yeah, it's fun. And I think when you focus on that, like I said, that's when you build the big community, because people, we are transparent. Like if you're doing something and you're really only in it for yourself, but it's so obvious, like you can tell, you can spot it a mile away. People want real, they want authentic, but they want somebody that's there because they're there to serve, they're there to make a difference, they're there to go above and beyond. And it doesn't matter whether you're selling a pen or you're selling a coaching session or a graphic design service or a web design service. It doesn't really matter. You know, the way you go about delivering that value varies depending on what you're doing. But I think if you focus on that, then that's when you become the photographer that everyone raves about and that charges like loads, you know, for their services, because they're creating, it's an experience, and everyone just desperately wants to have that experience. It's not just a photo shoot, it's an experience. So yeah, it changes everything.
And actually then the marketing kind of takes care of itself, exactly what you said, because people have such an amazing experience. They go and say, oh God, you've got to have this, you've got to try this, you've got to look at this, because it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
So the benefit is, and that obviously is not how you can grow such a massive community, but a huge part of it. And also it's such a positive community to be part of. Everyone in there seems to be in it for the right reasons. But I guess what you put out there, it should hopefully attract the right kind of people too.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think that, I remember I've heard other people over the years say things like, oh, the people in my community just want to take all the time, or they're really negative, or they have problems with people being really difficult. And since 2013, when I started the membership, we've probably had like one person that I can think of that was particularly difficult. That's it. Like, I think we just have attracted that, and I do think it is because the energy that you put out there does attract people. And like I really, really, really care about the community, about what I'm doing, about it. Like for me, it's not really about me. It's about creating something that will just make a difference. Because from my perspective, in 2005, when I started my own business, I quickly realized what was possible. And if you can do that when you're absolutely broke, when you're a student at 19, 20 years of age, then anyone at any age and any stage of life and with whatever budget can make it happen too. And for me, I just want people to realize that. Like, I want people to realize that there is so much possible for them and that they can actually achieve the most incredible things. And I think that when you come from a place where you're just really passionate about what you're doing, you will attract those people, the right people to you. I do believe that.
No, let's talk about your book as well, because it's brilliant. And I think as well, I've recommended this so much to people, because I defy anyone to read it and not feel completely uplifted and like they are on top of the world. And have you had that as a kind of consequence of your book, people feeling like that?
Yeah, I think it's been one of the most incredible things, because that book took so long to write. It took so much to get out, and to have positive feedback is just the best thing ever. And to have, because I've always been intentional about how I wanted to come across. I remember a mentor of mine when I was first starting out said, decide the relationship you want to have with people. And I remember him telling me, I'm the uncle. I want to be someone's uncle. I don't want to be the dad. I want to be the fun uncle, but that you'll listen to, that has like authority. And I remember thinking, I want to be the best friend. I want to be like the sister. So you're in it together. It's not, I'm up here, you're down here, and I'm going to tell you what to do. It's, we're in this together. We're on this journey. We experience the same things, and I know what it feels like, and I'm here for you, and I'll give you a hug whenever you need one, and let's make this happen. And when I wrote the book, I wanted to write it from that perspective, and it was so hard to write a book that was like how-to book, because when you're writing a book, you feel like you've got to have some kind of authority to write it. And like, I want people to realize that there is so much possible for them, and that they can actually achieve the most incredible things. And when you I was like, I mean, a massive part of me struggled thinking, who am I to write this book? Because while I have achieved things, I don't have all the answers. I'm just fumbling my way through the same way everyone's fumbling through. And so there is a huge part of me that feels like a fraud, and that feels like, oh, I just don't know what I can say. But when I finally allow myself to just write from the heart, from the perspective of like being the best friend, being the sister, being like, this is my journey and this is the journey of other women, and we can do this together, it felt like a weight had lifted and I could finally write. So to hear people say, I feel like I know you after reading your book, I feel like you're my best friend, was just absolutely incredible. It just blew my mind. And then to have people who have written to me and whose lives have completely changed because they read the book, like, it is the best thing ever. It just blows me away, and it honestly makes me so happy. And I'm so glad I slaved away at that book for all those years to get it out there. So yeah, it's amazing hearing it.
And would you say that that's been your high so far in your business? I imagine you've had quite a lot of highs.
I think it was the most surreal thing. I think it was the most surreal thing walking into Waterstones and seeing my book on the shelf, or Barnes & Noble in the States and seeing me there on the shelf was just bizarre. And it was just mind-blowing to think that I'd actually made it happen. Because I don't know, I mean, I feel like so many of us, you know, writing a book, being a published author is like, it feels like a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal. And so to then make it happen, it just felt so surreal. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. And, you know, from that, because it was published with Hay House do a lot of events. So then being invited to speak on their stages with their incredible, like Marianne Williamson and Gabrielle Bernstein and Chris Carr and, you know, all these amazing authors. And then there's me and I'm like, I'm here. What is going on? It's just crazy. And so, yeah, I definitely think it's been a massive highlight, and it just kind of reinforces to me that really anything is possible when you set your mind to it. My dad always said, decide what you want and write it down. And I think it just, you know, makes me think he was right all those years ago, because I think if you do decide what you want, and you get really clear on it, you can make the most incredible things happen. But yeah, that's definitely been a high.
And what would you say a low was? Because I know you've had quite a long journey, and you have definitely had the really big highs and the lows. So what would you say the lowest point's been?
I think one of the lowest points was probably back in 2012. I had been building FEA for nearly 2 years, and it was coming up to Christmas, and I had completely run out of money. Because when I started FEA, I started it because I just desperately wanted to do something that would make a difference. I wasn't thinking about the money. I wasn't thinking like, how can this make me money? So for the first nearly 2 years, all I did was publish stories, make videos, do the magazine. The magazine was free. And I kind of had a bit of a warped relationship with money, because when I built my first business, it became really successful, and I realized how empty and hollow that was. I thought that if I had all the money and the financial freedom to do what I wanted, I'd be happy, and I wasn't happy. In fact, I don't think I've ever been so unhappy in my life. I didn't know what to do with myself. I just felt completely lost. And so I remember thinking, it's not about the money, it's about creating something that's going to make a difference. And then it became a bit of a thing in my mind where I thought, if my focus shifts away from how can I serve people and do this for free to how can I make money, that the mission's going to go off track and it's not going to be what I want it to be. And so basically I focused entirely on growing my audience. And when it came to 2012, I'd built momentum, I'd got the magazine. In fact, I just won an award that September against like 25 other entrepreneurs. And it was presented to me by the Duke of York. I had this amazing helicopter mentoring session with Lord Billamoria, the founder of Cobra Beer. And I was in this situation, like I remember being invited to Buckingham Palace to talk about entrepreneurship. And I wasn't making any money. And I was sat around this table with this guy who just sold his business for 800 million. I was like, what the heck am I doing here? It just felt really crazy. And I felt like at that point a fraud, because on the one hand, there was all this amazing stuff going on, but on the other hand, I wasn't making any money. And I felt like, who am I to be doing this? Because now I'm not running my other business anymore. I don't have that anymore. I've completely run out of money, because all the money I had, I have put into this. I didn't have any money to even buy Christmas presents for my family. And I remember just thinking, like, what am I doing? Can I even make this work? and it was just really hard to deal with. And I remember I just decided one day, like, this is enough. Like, I need to change. I've got to get over this money block. And so I created a guided visualization for myself, all about to reprogram my mind for allowing financial abundance to flow into my life. And so I did that. And I wrote, I can't remember what I've written there's a video I created all about this. But I did a series of things. I got clear on, that I needed to change, that I needed to allow money into my life. And within like a really short period of time, a series of things happened. And then I ended up doing a joint venture with affiliate promotion with Amy Porterfield, who at the time was running a course called FB, was it called FB Influence? I think it was that. I can't remember, but a course all about Facebook. And I remember we did this webinar together where she was selling her course at the end of the webinar, and I would then get 50% of what we sold. And like, I couldn't believe how many people showed up to it and how many people bought her course. And in that moment, I realized not providing more stuff that people can buy is actually doing a disservice to my audience, because there's so much more I could give and there's so much more I could offer that would actually help them. And I'm holding it all back because I'm so afraid that by charging them will scare them off, when really actually it would be helping them so much more. And so once I realized that, I was like, wow, what more can we do? And then by the end of the next year is when I launched the membership site. And it's amazing because it's had such a huge impact on thousands and thousands of women. So I'm glad that I didn't stay stuck in that mindset of like feeling like I had to do everything for free.
No, completely.
You can't serve people from that place. So I think that was probably one of the hardest times though.
But obviously really turned around to be a huge high. So turning it from a low to a real positive and learning from it and moving on and pushing forward with what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think the thing about entrepreneurship that I love the most is it's like the biggest personal development journey, because it forces you to look inward and to see where you have to improve to make it work, because you're the one that's steering the ship, you're leading it. And so you have to get over your own like demons so that you can actually create the growth you want. And I think for me, that whole experience had to happen because it's like I had to acknowledge that I had a mindset block and that I had to overcome it. So sometimes I feel like you have to get to a place of rock bottom before you're actually willing to look something in the face and be like, I've got to deal with this, I've got to move past it. And then, so I think when I've had these hard things happen, I look back and I'm really grateful because all those challenges made me step up as a person and made me think, right, how am I going to deal with this? Along the way, having dealt with different challenges, there's a quote that I've come to absolutely love. I think it's one of my favorite quotes ever. It's by Viktor Frankl, and he wrote a book called Man's Search for Meaning. And he said something like, everything in life can be taken away from you except for your freedom to choose how you respond. And for me, that is one of the most empowering things ever, because no matter what happens, no matter how crap a situation seems, we have the ability to choose how we respond. So when I was at rock bottom, wasn't making any money, thinking, can I even make this work? How am I going to do this? How am I going to keep going? I had a choice. Do I just give up and be like, I'm going to go and get a job? Or do I say, I'm going to figure this out? Like, I have to find a way to do this. Like, those were the two options. And I chose to respond by saying no. Let's figure this out, let's do this. And I think now that quote always plays in my mind whenever something challenging happens. I think, how am I choosing to respond to this? Like, how am I going to respond in a way that's going to move me forward, not hold me back? So yeah, I love it.
That's a really useful quote. I've got 2 young children. They're 3-year-old twins. They're quite feisty. And I think that quote would probably serve me very well, because you can't deal with the carnage that goes along with it, but you can at least decide how you act on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you found, having a little one of your own, have you found that that's really changed how you see things? Or is it just exciting to have, you've built this life that you can be a mum and run your business?
I think it's amazing to think that I've been able to get FEA to the point where when I had Casey, I was able to take time off just to be with him, and the business kept running. So for me, that was so exciting. I think when he came along, my life changed so completely, because I'm used to sharing content and creating videos that are about where I'm at in my life. So for example, the inspirational quotes I share relate to the challenges or the things I'm experiencing building a business. And I feel like when I had Casey, all of a sudden my life was about a baby. It was about looking after him. So I was like, I don't have anything to post out anymore. I don't know what to say. Like, all I wanted to talk about was him, because that was my reality. That was my life. So I think it was a change because it made me feel confused about what my message was. I didn't know what my message was anymore. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to share. And I think it's taken me a long time to start being able to post things out again that aren't just about him. But I feel like I'm not fully out of it yet. Like, I still feel slightly confused sometimes about, what is it that I want to share moving forward, and like, and yeah, getting clear on that content piece. So I think, yeah, it was quite disruptive from that perspective. I've definitely felt confused and I had a lot of thinking to do.
But I think that's unusual, because everything changes, doesn't it? You can't plan your day. You've got to look at when you've got midwives, health visitors, play dates, this, that, and the other, and you're trying to run your business. So it's just a seismic shift, I think, which more than I know, and I had the boys a lot more than I anticipated. Yeah,
it's crazy. And I just think as well that it's chaotic. And someone messaged me recently asking for like how I've been getting on with balancing, building a business and being a mum. And they said about how they feel like they keep seeing people on social media who are basically sharing, I've had my baby and I'm running my business has never been more successful. And they feel like they're failing because for them it's like, I don't even know how to make this work. And I think for me it's like, I feel the same way. I look at people who are posting stuff out saying, oh my gosh, my business is more successful than ever, and think, like, how? Like, I feel like I try and like grab 5-10 minutes here and there whenever I can. I constantly work when I can. I've not figured out any kind of routine for working with him. It's been really a crazy experience, really. But I feel like it's important for people to know that
definitely,
it's not plain sailing.
And the thing is as well, I think this is a real thing about social media, and so many people say about it, is social media often shows people's highlight reels. So it shows them looking beautifully, made up, their hair looking perfect, walking on a beautiful day with their child in a beautifully clean buggy. And in fact, your dog's just kicked off at somebody. You got wet in the rain and you look like a walrus, and the kid's crying, and it's not reality. But you look at that picture and you think, I'm failing, because when I take the dog out for a walk, it doesn't look like that. And that's walking the dog, let alone anything else.
Exactly.
I think it's important that we share these things. I've got a couple of friends who are, well, one actually had a baby last week, and the other one is due very, very soon. And they're both business people and look very lovely, and they're going to absolutely nail it. I know they are. But it's going to be a huge transition for them, and they're going to have to make it work for them. Not anybody else. Make it work for them, because everyone's babies are different. Everyone's lives are different. Their partners have got different roles. It's very different, and no one is the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a crazy journey, but I have loved it though. It's been an amazing adventure, that's for sure.
Definitely. So thinking of some tips to help people along the way, I'm going to guess that one of them is not comparing yourself, because what you just said about, looking at people who've got their lives together and their babies are behaving in their businesses, and what you said about comparing someone's chapter 1 to chapter 20, is a big thing. So what other tips would you give people who are hoping to, grow and develop in their business and just feeling a bit about it?
I think the biggest thing would be to start focusing on your mindset and like really conditioning yourself for success. I think for me, this has been one of the biggest things, because like there are so many challenges, there are so many ups and downs. I think being an entrepreneur is like being on an emotional roller coaster. And so I think having that strength of mind to be able to keep going. And the thing is as well, when I say programming your mind for success, conditioning yourself for success, I also mean like, then you have to have a definition of what success means for you. You have to have an idea as to where you're trying to actually get to, and having more clarity. I think one of the biggest struggles that people have is that they know they want to create something, but they feel really wishy-washy about what that something is, and then just constantly feel confused and like they're going in circles. So I think a part of it is getting in tune with yourself, thinking about what it is you want, like creating, like I tell people to create like a dream jar where you just write down fun things that you want to make happen and put them in a jar, and then pick one out, once or twice a day, and just spend a few minutes visualizing achieving that thing. Or I think just really thinking about what it is you want to achieve, so you can visualize stuff, and then creating like a vision board, so doing fun things like that, having a dreaming day, and just thinking about all the stuff about what you want to make happen. And then also things like just immersing yourself in success. So whether it's just printing out inspirational quotes and sticking them around your house so that you've got them there as a reminder every single day, even on a subconscious level, your brain is seeing things that are positive, that are going to help you to get the right thoughts in place. For example, even creating like a playlist on YouTube of inspirational videos that you can go and watch, and just watching one a day, something that's going to feed your mind with something that's positive. I think doing things like that can make such a difference and make you feel like, yes, I can do this. Because when you're in that place where you're like, yes, I'm going to do this, I can make it happen, I believe in myself, that's, I think, where the magic starts to happen, because you're able to move out of your own way and tackle some daunting things. So I would really say make that a focus, because too many people are focused on other things, like maybe a marketing strategy or something a bit more concrete like that. But really, you can have the best marketing strategy in the world, but if you can't get out of your own way and overcome what's going on internally, then it's totally irrelevant, because you'll never be able to get to where you want to be if you don't know how to move out of your own way. So for me, that's the biggest game changer. That changed everything for me, because back in 2011, when I actually started FEA, I came up with the idea for FEA in 2008, but I was so stuck in my own way, I couldn't do it. I kept creating a website and then just not doing anything with it, because I kept thinking, who am I to do this? And then in 2011, when I finally decided to go for it, it was largely because I created this mission for myself called my Mission Success Challenge, to see what would be possible if I actually conditioned myself for success, and I just to see what I could make happen. And then doing those things that I just shared, like visualizing, getting clear on like, well, what would I want to make happen, and watching inspirational videos, reading amazing books, doing all those things, that literally changed my life, because I look now at what I've created since that shift, and it's mind-blowing. Like, I've literally been able to achieve some of my wildest dreams because I made the point to figure out how can I get myself to a place where I can retrain my brain. So instead of being so bloody afraid to do this, I'm going to make it happen. So that would be the biggest tip that I could give to anyone.
And the great thing is that's all free to do. I mean, people can go onto YouTube now. They can get involved with books. They can make sure they're following inspirational people, not looking at rather depressing news, things like that. They can make these different changes now and start, which is really exciting, and all for free as well, which is always a big win.
Yeah, definitely.
So where can everybody find you? Because if we're talking about immersing ourselves in positivity, they need to follow you everywhere, let's be honest. So where can they find you?
On Instagram, I am Carrie Green, and on Facebook it's the Female Entrepreneur Association, and then the website's femaleentrepreneurassociation.com. So that's the best place, and obviously the book. So
yes, obviously the book. And when this goes live on the evening of the Wednesday, there will be a competition launched on my Instagram, where there'll be 2 copies of the book up for grabs. So people need to get on and win those, because it's a really good book, and one you can read again and again. I've actually got the audio version as well. I've got Audible and I've got the book. So I have you in my ears when I'm dog walking or driving as well. Very good to have a little tune up if you're feeling a bit down. It's the thing that hits your ears and everything changes.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you so much for speaking to me. I'm so excited to share this, and it's so lovely to hear about your journey, and I can't wait to see what else you're going to create in the future as well. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure. So thank you.